I speak, I know, not only for myself, but for the entire personnel of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in expressing our sincere appreciation for the fine cooperation given to us by Governor Patterson, Colonel Birdsong, and the State Highway Patrol, as well as the citizens of the state of Mississippi, who are dedicated to decency and to justice. It's a pleasure to be in this town. It's my first visit to Jackson. I'm very happy that I had the occasion to come here. I came at the direction of the President to open this office. He discussed it with me at some length. Thought it would be desirable if I could personally come down and participating in the opening ceremonies. And the Governor and the Attorney General and the other distinguished guests have taken time out from a very busy schedule to likewise join in these simple ceremonies. I was told that this town prides itself upon its hospitality, and that it is the image of churches. 200-odd churches, I believe, are supposed to be in Jackson. What little I've seen of it so far, I must say, has deeply impressed me. The cordiality with which I have been greeted by His Excellency the Governor, the Attorney General, Colonel Birdsong, the other officials of the state and city, make me feel almost as if I'd like to stay here, as if I'd like to make my headquarters here at Jackson. We have the same kind of climate here as we have in Washington, as some of you gentlemen know, who are from the north and from Washington. Just as humid up there, and sometimes we have more hot air in Washington than we do have it down here. But I do sincerely hope that the opening of the office at Jackson, Mississippi will not only enhance the lasting friendships which have been made by our representatives in this area, but will serve as a medium for building a strong, new friendship in the years to come. As Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I am exceedingly pleased that we have the opportunity to establish this office in Jackson. To assure the efficient functioning of this office and the prompt handling of our responsibilities, 50 additional agents have been sent to Mississippi within the last week upon orders of President Johnson, making the total number of agents in the state of Mississippi at the present time from the FBI 153. We are establishing the office here for the purpose of enhancing efficiency. Prior to this time, it has been covered out of New Orleans and out of Memphis. And obviously, there are vast distances that have to be covered from those two headquarters offices when matters arise in Mississippi, so that we have decided to open the office here not only to save money, but to give better service to the people of Mississippi and to the federal government in the carrying out of our mutual responsibilities. Your beautiful city has certainly greatly grown since we last had an office here in 1946. We opened an office in 1941, and at the end of the war, closed it in 1946. Not only has it grown in the area, in the way of population, but vital new industry has come into the community, not only in the city of Jackson, but in all parts of the state. And we are always interested in the Federal Bureau of Investigation in regard to the growth of population, the so-called population explosion that occurs. Because in the wake of it, there always follows the criminal scum of the underworld who move in to try to take advantage of the law-abiding citizens of the community. And it's just as much of the interest of the federal government to keep that to the minimum as it is the desire and the responsibility of the governor of the state. And for that reason, we shall work hand in hand with the governor in trying to carry forth that responsibility. We are most grateful for the outstanding reception given to the representatives of this Bureau over the years. I don't know of any state police organization that has been more cooperative, has been more helpful, more dedicated in their duties than has been the Mississippi Highway Patrol under Colonel Birdsong. Nothing that we've asked for has been denied, and they have at all times been ready to serve irrespective of the hours of the day or night. And that has been upon the personal orders, I know, of Governor Johnson of the state. And for that reason, I want to pay tribute to a fine law enforcement organization such as the Mississippi Highway Patrol. We've introduced to you a man that is, of course, known to many of you, particularly those here in Mississippi, but he's a man that I've always admired at a distance. And this morning I had the pleasure of visiting with him for nearly an hour in his office. He's a man of great humility, as all great men are, and he is a man who is dedicated to seeing that the laws of this country are enforced objectively, penetratively, and fairly, and without any punitive viewpoint or punitive reactions. I'd like to present to you the Honorable Paul B. Johnson, the Governor of the State of Mississippi. Governor Johnson.
Mr. Hoover, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Mississippians and fellow Americans. First, I would like to express my own appreciation in a interpersonal way for the opening of this office here in Jackson, Mississippi. The manner in which the FBI has operated from Mobile and New Orleans, from Birmingham and Memphis into our state has not been satisfactory. It has been at an expense to the federal government that was much greater than could be justified. And we're delighted to have the FBI here in Jackson, Mississippi. We're delighted also to cooperate with this federal agency in every way that we can. When I first took office, I told the people of Mississippi that ignorance and hate and prejudice would not sit in the governor's chair as long as I was there, and that law and order would be maintained at all costs. That is as true today as it was then. We began immediately, and with the legislature's splendid cooperation, we have upgraded our highway patrol insofar as beefing up the number of men is concerned. We have also changed the laws of the state of Mississippi where, under certain circumstances, general police powers may be had by every member of the highway patrol. At all times, do the Identification Bureau or plainclothes men of the highway patrol now have general police powers, something that has not existed in any of our state agency for law enforcement before. And for this reason, everyone knows that we will now begin to attract the top crooks and hoods that come to see all parts of the state, talk to anyone they'd like to talk to. For after all, Mississippi is second lowest in crime rate of all of the states of the American Union, and we expect to keep it that way with the cooperation and the help of the local officials of this state, those on the state level, and with our friends of the FBI working with us. Thank you.
We're indeed grateful to you, Governor, for those very kind words and for a philosophy of government that I think would be well to be adopted in all areas of our country, which would certainly reduce not only the overall problem of crime, juvenile delinquency, but also these various matters that have arisen in the field of racial problems. Another great friend of law enforcement is with us this afternoon, one who is known by all the law enforcement officers through the state of Mississippi, as well as many other parts of the country, and that is the Attorney General of the state of Mississippi. It's my great pleasure to introduce Joe T. Patterson, who stands very high on the roll of the FBI's friends and cooperators in our mutual problems and responsibilities. General Patterson.
Governor Johnson, Mr. Hoover, I didn't come down yet expecting to make a speech. I merely came to see this office opened and listen to Governor Johnson and Mr. Hoover. And to you, the courtesies and services of our department. If one man could be selected to represent all law enforcement, there would be no doubt as to who that man would be. I myself have held you in highest esteem for many years, and I do mean many years. Has it been
not any person in the world. But I'd rather be in Jackson on this mission than Mr. Hoover. We are honored that you're here. We've all read and heard about you for years. When I was in naval intelligence many, many years ago, I worked with the FBI and military intelligence. Mr. Hoover, as I mentioned, I don't know why I mentioned it to you, but your men were the only ones who understood Spanish, and we were in Spanish-speaking countries, and so they did all the work. All we did was just to look on. I want everybody in this city, and certainly in this state, to think about what a wonderful thing it is to have this office here, to have Mr. Hoover come, to have the men who are going to be here. We've worked with the FBI for many years. Everything that comes up that's very difficult, you work with us. Many of our men have been to the academy. We're building a beautiful training center here in the city of Jackson, and we certainly appreciate the help that you have indicated you'd give us there. Disagreement in this city, much. But anyhow, we are going to agree on this, that we are going to make these men and their families feel as happy here as they could anywhere. And we want to extend this welcome to them and let them know we are counting on them calling on us for anything.
Degree of acceptance. And that degree of acceptance is based upon understanding and cooperation between all levels of law enforcement. Leadership must evidence, I think, in every area of this country, more statesmanship, whether it be leadership that you or I may agree or disagree with. We at least ought to, at the same time, try to remember that statesmanship is paramount for the safety and for the good of our country. Well, and the united strength of Congress, the courts, the President, and the law of the land. The key to law and order in Mississippi remain the extent to which state and local authorities recognize their responsibilities and discharge them. In a spirit of joint undertaking, let us continue to move forward, promoting the strong qualities of decency and justice, which are the foundation of a real accomplishment in the activities of carrying out law and order. Now, I would like to, before I open the meeting for questions, and I arrive here, I can't make any comment as to that aspect. I did testify before Congress last January. As to the actual individual participation here, I cannot make any more specific comment than that.
I have one more
question. As I say, 70% of the agents in the 23 southern offices are men who have been born in the north of the Mason-Dixon line. I don't know, it was not as a direct result of the recommendations made by Mr. Dulles. Mr. Dulles, as a matter of fact, made no recommendations except that, as to the opening of the office, except that he thought there should be closer and better coordination and cooperation. As soon as I read Mr. Dulles' recommendation and talked with Mr. Dulles myself, I felt that one of the steps we could take to meet that recommendation would be to put an office here at Jackson, where the governor is, where the head of the State Highway Patrol is, where the Attorney General of the state is. And that is the reason for the office being open, so that we can stay in the state of Mississippi. Well, I'd like to stay a long while if I could, but I can't. I will probably be going back to Washington either late today or the first thing tomorrow morning.
Mr. Hoover, do you have any Negro agents in the FBI?
We do. We have had for some time.
Are there any working on this in this area?
There are not. We've had Negro agents in the Bureau for some years, and we have at the present time Negro agents working in various parts of the country. They have been very satisfactory, very successful in their work. They can be used on types of cases where they can perform and accomplish better results even than white agents, where you have a large Negro sectors as you have in some of our large metropolitan cities. Negro agents are very valuable for use there. They must meet the same qualifications that our white agents have to meet for appointment. They don't know. I may not. just depends on my other commitments this afternoon. Yes?
Mr. Hoover, if the bodies of the 3 missing workers are not discovered, how long do you estimate the search will go on?
It would be impossible to estimate that. We'll continue this search, searching every area where there is any possibility that they might be found. Now, of course, searches, as you well know, in this general area of country where Philadelphia is located and down south and east and west of it, the area is a very difficult area to search. And the naval personnel that has been assigned to us by the Navy Department, totaling 400 men, have been working days in and days out trying to make as thorough search as possible. It's entirely possible that a body can be missed in those kind of searches where you're searching in swamps, and where I understand that water moccasins are quite frequent and quite often seen. It's a very hard task. Those searches are being conducted not only by the naval personnel, but by the Mississippi Highway Patrol and by the FBI agents. The teams that are out searching in the various swamp areas are composed of all. I never have posed as a pessimist on anything. You're being around Washington as long as I am, you get a little callous to being pessimistic. If you don't have optimism, you can't have the enthusiasm, I believe, in which to do a job properly. I am enthusiastic and I'm optimistic about this case being solved. We will continue on it indefinitely. I'd like to just point out there have been cases, if you recall the Brinks bank robbery in Boston, that took 6 years to solve. And we finally ended up with the 11 culprits who were involved in that great robbery, the largest robbery of its kind in this country, and all of them are in the penitentiary at the present time. There have been other cases that we've been able to solve, like the Sinatra kidnapping case on the West Coast last December, which we solved in 5 days. But there have been kidnapping cases back in the 30s and 40s which ran on for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. This case will not be closed at any time until the solution is reached. Either the bodies are found, or if it has by any chance been a hoax, and it's far from my impression now that it is a hoax, that we will be able to completely expose it and give the full facts to the public.
Mr. Hoover,
yes. It's gone into many other areas of the country for this reason. In any investigation of any kind, whether it be one of these racial cases or not, you have a great many leads that are brought to you by persons who think they saw this person or that person at some particular place, or who overheard a conversation. We found it particularly in the case of the assassination of President Kennedy. I think there have been leads in every state of the Union, Mexico, Europe, in the Far East even. So that we have to run them all down. You can't just say, well, this is a nut lead or this is a screwball, and we'll discard that. We might be confronted later with the fact that it turns out to be the real thing. So in this case, we have not confined our investigation solely within the state of Mississippi. We have leads that have led us into many other states that we have run out and are running out at the present time, and will continue.